Hello student, this is your physics teacher Mandeep Alexander, and today I am making my video regarding the topics that we have already discussed, and that's why I have written here summary of the content being taught. Okay, the content which has been taught to us, about that only we will be briefing everything. So right now what we are doing in our class 11th, we are talking about and we are discussing about the topics of chapter number 4, that is motion in a plane. And before that we have discussed chapter number 3, that is motion in a straight line, and chapter number 2 and 1 also, that is chapter number 2 is units and measurement, and chapter number 1 is what? Physical world. And all things we have discussed, and I have given you the notes of every chapter. Okay, so today I am just summarizing everything so that you people may come from Monday and you may join the class. Okay, but due to some reason it is not possible that you people may come to school and sit here in the classroom. Okay, so I am just giving the summary on this Friday. The summary, I just want to start from the very beginning. Okay, from the very beginning, from chapter number 1, that is physical world. Okay, so in physical world, what we have talked about mainly, we have talked mainly about the physics and the scope of physics in that. And after that we have talked about the laws, and we have talked about the forces, the types of forces that we have discussed in that. Okay, and totally we have discussed near about 4 types of interactions. Okay, weak interaction, strong interaction, electromagnetic interaction, gravitational interaction, and these things we have discussed fully, and I have given you the notes. Okay, and I hope that you people have also learned many things. Okay, I made the video of such topics. Okay, there is there on our online portal. You can go and visit it, or you can visit my YouTube channel also. Okay, so after that we have read about the second chapter, that is units and measurement, and in that we talked about physical quantities, and we have classified our physical quantities into different types. Okay, so totally we have classified our physical quantity into 3 types, that is fundamental physical quantity, derived physical quantities, and supplementary physical quantities. And correspondingly we have discussed about the units also, that what are the basic 7 fundamental units, what are the derived units, what are the supplementary units. Okay, and after that what we did in that chapter, we did that how we can go from one unit system into another unit system. For suppose that the force is given in Newton, then what will be the value of that force? For example, there is 4 Newton of force, so what will be the value of that 4 Newton force in dynes? So in that what we do, we used to convert ourselves, or we used to convert our system from one unit system into another unit system, and we have derived the formulas also, that how we will be converting those, and we have solved some numericals also on that. Okay, and after that those were the main topics that we have discussed. We have discussed all the topics actually, but those are the main which I am collecting right now. Okay, and after that we have seen motion in a straight line. Okay, we have seen motion in a straight line. In that what we did, chapter number 3, in what we did, we have studied about different types of motion. Okay, we have studied about the straight line motion. In that we are not talking about the 2-dimensional motion, or we are not talking about 3-dimensional motion. I have just given you the definition of 1-dimensional motion and 2-dimensional motion. Okay, and 3-dimensional motion in that, but we didn't talk about in detail about 2-dimensional motion and 3-dimensional motion, because that was not the part of that chapter. So in that what we have discussed, we have talked about many cases, many different cases of 1D motion or 1-dimensional motion. Okay, and in that what we have calculated, we have seen different types of graphs. We have seen 3 types of graph, that is time displacement graph, time velocity graph, time acceleration graph. Okay, and I told you in that we need to keep in mind the basic formulas which are there. Okay, the basic formulas of displacement, the basic formulas of velocity. Okay, for example, this, if I am denoting my displacement as d, or if I am denoting my displacement as s, then it is represented as velocity into time like this. Now, where velocity is a vector quantity and this displacement is also a vector quantity. Okay, and time is what? Time is a scalar quantity. Everyone knows the definition of vector quantity and scalar quantity. And if you were talking about the time displacement graph, if you are talking about the time displacement graph, so in that, what I told you that in that case we are having what? Time and displacement. So we can easily calculate if a body is moving with a uniform, if a body is going having a uniform motion. So in that case, if a body rate of change of velocity of a body is constant, okay, if velocity increases with constant rate, so from there, from time displacement graph, we are having the displacement axis and we are having the time axis. Okay, so from there what we will be getting? We will be getting the velocity term. And from where we will be getting the velocity? You people might be knowing that such type of the graph were drawn. This was the time axis, this was the displacement axis. Since time has been written first, so it will be taken horizontal. And we are getting this type of graph. Okay, and slope of this line for uniform motion. The slope of this line was giving us the velocity content. Okay, we were calculating, we were making the triangle for certain time interval for t1 and t2. For t1 time and t2 time, we are making the time interval. Okay, and in that time interval, I am calculating the slope that is perpendicular upon base. Okay, if this is angle with theta, which this angle is making, which this line is making with the horizontal, so tan theta, in that case, we have talked that it is perpendicular component upon base component, that is p upon b. Okay, and that is equals to the velocity. Tan theta is what? Tan theta is nothing but slope. Okay, these things we know. And after that, what we have talked about? After that, we have talked about time velocity graph. After discussing about time displacement graph, we have talked about time velocity graph. And in time velocity graph, what we have talked? Now we are having in time velocity, we are having the parameters of time and velocity. Now what we will be drawing? We will be drawing the graph like this, which horizontal components will give the time, and similarly the vertical component will be giving the velocity. And from there, what we have calculated? If a body is still doing the, if a body is still having a uniform motion, okay, for example, the speed of the body is something constant like this, okay, with increasing time. So in that we have selected a certain time interval. For example, t is equals to 0, say t is equals to 10 seconds tak we have considered. And the area which was coming under this was giving the magnitude of displacement. From here only, from this formula only. Now we are having this velocity axis, we are having this time axis. So if we are having this velocity and time axis in time velocity graph, then what we will be getting? We will be getting the magnitude of displacement. Okay, so these all things we have discussed. And again, we talked about what? Time acceleration graph. In time acceleration graph, we were having the time along the horizontal axis and what? This in the vertical direction. Okay, this was what? This was acceleration. Okay, so here also what we will be getting? We will be getting something like this for a uniform motion. If a body is moving with constant acceleration, you can see that along the acceleration axis, acceleration seems to be constant with increasing time. Okay, so acceleration is equals to change in velocity upon time, this we know, or upon time interval. This what we can write from here. Okay, so this is the average acceleration over the long range. So here also the area which bounds here for certain time interval were giving the velocity. Okay, because in this case we are having the time axis and acceleration axis, so we are getting the magnitude of velocity by the area bounded. So these are things we have discussed in detail. And after discussion of those graphs, we discussed what? we have discussed about different physical quantities. Okay, for example, if we are talking about velocity, then velocity can be of two types. Okay, velocity can be, there can be average velocity, or there can be instantaneous velocity depending upon our condition. Similarly, if we are talking about acceleration, then acceleration can also be in the same way. Okay, sometime according to our condition we talk about average acceleration, and sometimes for any instant of time we talk about instantaneous acceleration. Okay, so like this we have discussed many different cases. Okay, according to our graph only. Okay, for example, if such type of the motion has been given to us, for example, this is time and this is displacement. Okay, and a body is doing this type of the motion, that is non-uniform motion. Okay, this curve shows the body is doing a non-uniform motion. If it would have been a straight line, then I would have said that the body is moving in a constant motion, in a uniform motion. But here the case is different. Okay, so we can say that a body is doing what? A body is doing a non-uniform motion. Okay, that's what we can say. So in case of non-uniform motion, what we have studied last time, we have studied something like this. Again we are including this time interval. Okay, for example, this is a time interval, there is something big gap in time. I am assuming that this is for t is equals to 2 seconds, and finally the body has been observed till t is equals to 20 seconds. So it is observable. This is observable time. Okay, this is really a very significant time that a person can measure easily. Okay, so corresponding to that time, what will be the change in velocity? Okay, so in that case, if the time is more, so the distance obviously will be more, the body that may be traveling. Okay, so if distance is equals to speed into time, this we know, or displacement is equals to speed into time, this we know. Okay, so if d is the displacement and t is the time, so if time is really very big or time is really very large, so what we can say, time has been increased here on the RHS. So correspondingly the displacement of the particle will also be something which is big. Okay, so if displacement is much big, then correspondingly what will happen? There will be some speed also over that range, over that long range. So in that case, what we do? We calculate what? We calculate the average velocity. Okay, so in that case, for long range, I told you that we always calculate what? Average velocity. But if there is an observer who is sitting there on any body, for example on a moving car, and at any instant, now let us suppose that at t is equals to 2 seconds, he noted down the velocity. Okay, at t is equals to 2 seconds, he noted down the velocity. Now we are getting the slope like this earlier. Now we are getting the line like this earlier. Okay, for velocity, and the slope of this line only will be giving us the velocity in earlier case. But now for t is equals to 2 seconds, our this entire area has been confined. Okay, now it pretends to lie here. This line pretends to lie on this line. Okay, so now instead of drawing this entire area for instantaneous term, okay, always remember for instantaneous term, now our delta t, which was equals to how much according to our condition, that is 20 final time and initial time is 2 seconds. Okay, t2 is 20 and t1 is 2 seconds. So t2 minus t1 will be near about 18 seconds. Let us consider. So that is a big time. But for instantaneous, suppose that at t is equals to 2 seconds, he noted down the velocity. Now this entire area has been what? Has been covered up, and it is now totally lying on this line. On the line, t is equals to 2 seconds, at which the observer is noting down the reading of our velocity. Okay, so now instead of drawing this shaded region like this, what we can do, and now instead of drawing this entire line like this, the motion will still be there like this, but now we have confined ourselves on this line for instant time, because instantaneous term is always calculated for any instant of time. So here I am calculating my instantaneous velocity for t is equals to 2 seconds. Okay, so that area has been covered up into a single line. So now earlier the time interval was something like this. Okay, that is 20 minus 2 seconds. Okay, now our delta t is tending towards 0. Now this entire length has been confined to a single point here on this line, you can see. Let us name this point P. Okay, this entire time interval has been confined to this single point. So this was the representation of what? In case of instantaneous. Okay, if we are calculating the instantaneous velocity, if we are calculating the term of instantaneous acceleration, so we will be reducing that entire time interval to a single point. For example, I have reduced it till point P. Okay, so now average velocity is what? Average velocity is denoted by V bar that I told you. Okay, V bar is equals to change in what? Change in length. Okay, let the length be what? Delta D and upon time interval. This was the expression of average velocity. Delta shows the change. Okay, and now what we do, if we are calculating about the instantaneous term, then according to our figure, according to our graph, we have confined ourselves from this time interval to t is equals to 2 seconds. That means this entire length has been confined to a point on this time axis, you can see. That is point P. And what is the length of that point P? Point appears to be of 0 length. So delta t, which was here, now has been confined here to a point. That means delta t is tending towards 0 now. Delta t is tending towards 0 now for instantaneous case. Okay, so instantaneous velocity. For instantaneous velocity, what we can write? INST. I am writing in short. Okay, instantaneous velocity is equals to limits delta d tends to 0 and delta or d of d upon d of t. Okay, now this delta has been reduced to a more small thing. Okay, this delta has been reduced to something more small, that is d. D shows the differentiation. Okay, earlier the time was something big and now it is representing by d. Earlier it was representing, it has a representation of delta t, and now it has a representation of dt. Okay, so now this shows a infinitesimally small time. This shows a infinitesimally small distance or displacement. Okay, that is the significance of what? Instantaneous term. So I talked about instantaneous velocity. So similarly, by reducing that time interval, we have talked about instantaneous acceleration also. We have talked about average acceleration also. Okay, so these things we have discussed. And later on, what we have discussed? At last, we have discussed about relative velocity in case of motion in a straight line. That is chapter number 3. Okay, and what we have discussed in that motion in a straight line? In motion in a straight line, in case of relative velocity, what we have discussed, we have measured the velocity of one object with respect to the velocity of another object. Okay, and I have given you many examples of moving trains, moving cars. Okay, so let us assume that let us assume that the observer be in one train and there is another train which is moving parallelly with that train, but that train in which there is no one, okay, in which there is observer is slower. Let us assume that in which there is observer, that train is slower. Let that train may have a velocity of 80 km per hour, and let that train which is moving parallelly to it and faster has the velocity of 100 km per hour. Okay, so with respect to that observer who is there in the slower train, that train will seems to move with some velocity. That train seems to move with some velocity to that observer who is still moving in some train. Okay, so in that case, now the train which is having the 100 km of the velocity with respect to ground will not appear to be like that. It is moving with 100 km to that observer who is there in another train. So these all concepts we have discussed, and we have solved many numericals also regarding that. Okay, and after that we have discussed the relative velocity concept of relative velocity with different graphs also. We have plotted different graphs of two objects who are moving in a straight line. Okay, so many things we have discussed in chapter number 3.